Hey yo, the almighty, excuse me, SOS Wrestling Network back at y'all once again, y'all, for G1 Climax action. Tonight we don't got two shows for y'all, we got four fucking shows for y'all. So you know what it is, man. The Pro Wrestle Fly God, International Flyness himself, Stardust Shiaku right here, joined by my illustrious tag team partner, the book junkie herself, the intellectual juggernaut, bringer of pain, the exalted one, Jana. Jana, how you doing tonight, my good friend?
Howdy. Oh, yes, my students would say I bring the pain.
Oh,
Yeah,
like
we're on a bit of a G1 overload here. We
here.
have multiple shows from Cork and Hall. We've got the ending show in Nagata. We have a lot to talk about.
This is pretty much like a gumbo. So if you listened to us last year, we had our World Tag League gumbo. This might be the part two of the gumbo. So get y'all bowl ready because we got a whole lot of shit to break down right here. So we gonna get into night five right here, like my great tag team partner said. Took place, I believe this took place Sunday, almost a week ago, September 27th. This was in Kobe World Hall, excuse me. So the first match, and let me give you the attendance as well, was attendance of 2,548 people in the building. So shout out to y'all. First match we got on the show. 15-minute time limit right here. We have Yota Tsuji taking on Gabriel Kidd. As we all know, guys, Young Lions are starting these tours off. It's getting pretty heated, getting pretty heavy between these guys because Yota Tsuji's been talking mad shit in the post match. Then he'll not talk shit. Then he'll talk shit again. He don't really know what he wants to do. And Gabriel Kidd is like, I'm here for it. I'll just take all the smoke you got. But this point right here, man, it looks like Gabriel Kidd was actually able to handle the smoke that Yota Tsuji had because he beat him with a double arm suplex in about 7 minutes, 40 seconds right here. Never skip the Young Lions, guys. I never do. Even if I don't get up for the show, I still will go back later in the day to watch Young Lions. So I advise you guys to do the same thing because if y'all like me, y'all smart individuals and y'all gonna watch them damn Young Lions. So then we get in the G1 Climax action, the first match this night. We had Holy Emperor himself, maybe Taichi Gun leader. I'm just playing, but we got the one half of the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, Holy Emperor himself, Taichi. He's sitting on 3 wins, or sitting on 2 wins, 0 losses at this point, taking on Yujiro Takahashi, he's 0-2 at this point right here. This is a really, really good match, and I think this is a good showing for a lot of guys out here in the G1. And we get Taichi actually defeating my man Yujiro Takahashi with the ghetto clutch in about 11 minutes and 3 seconds. Low key, Jay, I was wanting Taichi to lose this match to Yujiro Takahashi because I like both of these guys. So it was like one of those matches where you're like, both these guys, because I was doing that. So Taichi gets the win here. Not too disappointed. It was pretty solid. So we'll talk more about that here in the wrap up. So second G1 Climax action we had on this night, we had Jeff Cobb actually taking on and losing to Minoru Suzuki in about 9 minutes and 24 seconds. Gotch style power driver. I thought this was solid. And this was a decent to good match, but it left me wanting more between Jeff Cobb and Minoru Suzuki because I could be wrong, at least here in this New Japan setting. I think this is their first one-on-one meeting. I could be wrong. If the only time I can remember them maybe wrestling is another G1 Climax. So if somebody let us know, tweet at us or something, let us know I'm wrong about that. Hell, I'd be wrong about a lot of shit, but I'm not wrong about the result of this match because Suzuki won Gotch style power driver here. He gets his second win right here, so he's sitting on 2 wins, 1 loss. He has 4 points. Jeff Cobb, he has 1 win, 2 losses at this point. He actually the only victory he picked up, I think, was against Shingo Takagi. So he's looking for another one. It is what it is. We move on with this G1 Climax. So the next match you got, these are two guys who are not stranger to each other once, in any shape or form. We have Kota Ibushi taking on Tomohiro Ishii right here. And this is one of those ones that are up in the air because you had Tomohiro Ishii at this point sitting on 0-2, and he's not a guy that particularly you would peg to be sitting on 0-2. You would think he would at least get one of his first matches because that's just the kind of guy he is. Then you have Kota Ibushi. He's 1-1. He picked up his first victory against Okada. Then he dropped his first match or his second match against Jay White. So he's winning and losing against guys has familiarity with, and he's going to go against Jay White and Okada here in the future. But that's then. He actually picks up a victory right here. He beats him with the Kamigoye in 15 minutes and 41 seconds. And I thought this was actually really solid. These guys have really good chemistry. I think that's pretty easy to say for Tomohiro Ishii, who pretty much has chemistry with everybody in the New Japan roster. As I call him here on our podcast, hashtag best bout machine Tomohiro Ishii. But it's shocking. He's sitting at 0-3 right now. So it'll be interesting to see if he can string up a couple wins, maybe in this tournament, 5-3, 4-4 for Tomohiro Ishii, because he's not going winless. We all know that. So, but he's going to have to wait for a night. and somebody who I wish could go winless, but unfortunately he's not going to go winless. We got Will. He's sitting on 2 victories coming into this match, taking on channel favorite right here, podcast favorite, Shinko Big Dragon Takagi. Coming into this match, he's 0-2, which is pretty shocking for a guy like him, having that undefeated record in the junior heavyweight division. Then coming to G1 Climax last year, having a pretty solid showing. So being 0-2 was pretty surprising for him. Him dropping the match to Jeff Cobb, I thought was really surprising. This was really, really good. This was a really good match. And I've seen both ways, or both people talking about, oh, I thought this was a really good match. And then people are kind of how what I'm about to say right now, they kind of criticize Will Ospreay's selling, because at some point his selling is he gets back into his junior heavyweight ways, and it kind of takes away from the match and how great the match could be from this point. So I thought that kind of took away from it being a really great match to being this a really good match. Like, I thought this was good. Shingo was actually able to get the victory in about 22 minutes here, a little over 22 minutes with the Last of the Dragon. And I know we're probably going to talk about wrap up stuff after this match, this card is over, but the spot where Will Ospreay kicked out of the Last of the Dragon from the top rope, second rope, and he kicked out of one, I thought that was just fucking dumb. So that kind of was stupid to me, but we digress. And then the main event of the show, put a big ass smile on your boy's face right here, Jay. We got the Switchblade, Jay White, moving to 3-0, defeating the Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada, sitting on 1-2 at this point, with a Blade Runner at 18 minutes and 48 seconds. And you know what? We talked about Jay White maybe starting to run in this G1 Climax, and I thought the show was really good before I kick it over to you. I didn't expect him to beat Okada. I thought Okada was going to beat him. I don't know why. I thought Okada was getting his win right here, and Jay White winning was super surprising for me. So before I kick it over to you, actually, I'm about to kick it over to you. What was from this show? Did you like? Did you not like? Did you thought was cool? What are your takeaways from this show?
Well, I was totally on the opposite side of the fence for Okada versus Jay White. I really expected Jay to win this match, and I was hoping he would win it in dominant, glorious fashion, like maybe not a total wash, but pretty close to it. That didn't happen. It was a much more competitive match than that, but I just had the idea that with Jay holding the record for defeating Okada in like 15 minutes before, wouldn't it be interesting if he's able to improve on his record and do it in even more humiliating fashion, that might kick off a change in Okada, and neither of those things happened. But really the only thing about the Jay versus Okada match that just felt odd was that Okada just is not all there. And yes, I realize that's the point right now. I don't really need booking explained to me. Thanks very much. But the whole idea that, well, somebody who was talking about AEW was saying that, the Kenny Omega we saw in New Japan was magnificent, and the Kenny Omega that we've seen in AEW, at least up until recently, has not been magnificent. Okada is no longer magnificent. And when you're watching a match and he feels like the weak spot, that is an unusual feeling, even for me, who has never really been a fan of his. It just definitely feels off. Shingo and Ospreay was very good. I was so hoping Shingo was going to get the win here, and he did. So that was lovely. Ibushi and Ishii, I was torn. That really could have gone either way, and I would have been happy with it. I still think, one of the funniest moments of the entire night was Ibushi and Ishii sitting on the mat, just kicking each other in the head over and over again. And, then they, return to wrestling and so forth. But that was pretty glorious. With Suzuki and Cobb, I would not go so far as to say Murder Dad respects anybody, but he definitely came off as close to respect as we've seen him show in a while to Jeff Cobb. He acted like this was, at least in part, a worthy opponent. And that was really cool, because you had Jeff Cobb, relying on his Olympian roots, and Murder Dad seemed to appreciate that. So, taking a loss there is, not anything to be ashamed of when Minoru Suzuki drops you with the gotch. And obviously he can do that to pretty much anybody, but I was still a little bit surprised and impressed that Suzuki got Cobb up to do that. Um, no offense, Murder Dad, but Jeff Cobb is a very, strapping young man, and that was kind of impressive. Um, I think it says something when Yujiro Takahashi is having much better matches with pretty much everybody than he is with Okada. And I know this ties back into what we have said many times on other shows, that even if you think Okada himself is the greatest wrestler of his generation or what have you, that doesn't necessarily translate into what it's like for other people to wrestle him. Okada has never had Tanahashi's gift of making his opponent look amazing, even in defeat. And Taichi and Yujiro, they were going at it. And I'm sitting there watching this going, okay, I really did not like Yujiro versus Okada at all. I'm into this. This is really good. And that's honestly been true with most of Yujiro's other matches. The only bad one that he had was against Okada, and I think that's pretty telling.
I couldn't even put it better myself. That was a nice close to, I believe it was the fifth night of G1 Climax. I enjoyed the whole show. So, yeah, Block A, honestly, if you ask me, I think I like Block B a little better. And I think that's a nice volley for my tag team partner to go ahead and talk about Block B, because that's what we got next.
Yes, well, Block B was perhaps less powerful and star-studded on paper, but they have been holding up their end of the tournament pretty well, and in some cases even surpassing it. So night 6, we have Block B. That was September 29th at Korakuen Hall. Attendance of just under 700 may seem, unfortunate, but that is, half capacity for them. And if you look at how people are spaced out in Korakuen Hall, it still felt like a full show. The numbers don't tell the whole story with that. So the opening match, we have another Young Lions singles match with Yuya Uemura defeating Gabriel Kidd in just over 9 minutes with a Boston Crab. Now, this is the same Uemura that busted out a Lion Tamer earlier in the G1, so we're starting to see new stuff from all three of them. And if you have actually been following the results of the Young Lion matches, there's a bit of a pattern to it. At this point, with this many shows in, they've basically all beaten each other and all lost to each other. So they're keeping everybody's win-loss record pretty close. And I'm wondering if there's not a reason for that we might get a surprise toward the G1 finals. But Uemura and Kidd are very, very good together. Kidd may be saving some of his fire for Yota Tsuji, but he seems to have a more challenging time wrestling Uemura, who happens to be a favorite of one Katsuyori Shibata of the New Japan Dojo. So bear that in mind. If Shibata thinks you are the future, then you're doing something right. Somebody who is not doing something right, somebody who is doing things very, very wrong, is my Pirate crewmate, which takes us to the second match of the night, the first of the G1 block, and that was Yoshihashi versus SANADA. I can't believe I have to say this out loud. Yoshihashi defeated SANADA in 15 minutes. I have said several times that ditching the magnificent pirate gear has not done him any favors. Frankly, he looks like a disco ball. And right now, you're seeing why that's bad. I'm just like, if you had kept the pirate look, you would have beaten Yoshihashi. I'm sorry, that's all there is to it. And Sanada's matches have not been bad matches. He's just not winning them. And I will give credit where it's due. Yoshihashi is having the G1 of his entire career. That doesn't mean I have to like him. I can give him credit for being the best he's ever been, and that doesn't mean he entertains me, because he doesn't. And so when it comes to these two, it just makes me feel dirty to say that Sanada lost to Yoshihashi and is now sitting at 0-3. All right, man. Yeah. This is what, becoming a spaceman does to you. I'm telling you, you should have listened. So then we move on to one of my favorite matches of the night, and that was Kenta defeating Zack Sabre Jr. in a little bit under 16 minutes. Kenta actually got the win with the go to sleep. Wow, this match was really good. And I was curious to see what would happen when you had such a powerful striker with somebody who only needed to get within grabbing distance of any limb that you had in order to pretty much destroy you. And so Kenta gets the win here. He was at 2 wins and 1 loss for a total of 4. Zack had 1 win and 2 losses for a total of 2, but it was very nicely even, very hateful, this match. I mean, Kenta always just fights dirty like you owe him money, and Zack just hates everybody who isn't named Taichi. So yeah, they were really good together, and I enjoyed this match a whole lot. And if Kenta hadn't managed to finally drop Zack into the go to sleep, Kenta may not have won this match. So seriously, if you have an opportunity to go back and watch Kenta versus Zack Sabre Jr., please do, because this is one of those matches that's going to fly under the radar. It's not going to be one that everybody's gushing about for match of the tournament by the time that it's over, but it was really good. And when you check out Kenta's backstage comments on this, aside from the fact that he apparently has his desired camera person back, which is a whole nother level of hilarity, Kenta actually says in his backstage comments, "What happened to the nice Zack Sabre Jr.? I didn't raise him to be like that." So he's totally calling out the time that they were in Noah at the same time. So like, I didn't raise him to be like that. Like, okay, go Kenta. Next, we move on to Hiroshi Tanahashi defeating Juice Robinson. And when I say Tanahashi defeated Juice Robinson, I mean Juice Robinson kicked Tanahashi's ass for 13 of those 14 plus minutes, and then Tanahashi wins with a roll-up. So yeah, Tanahashi is doing very well. All of the matches that Tanahashi and Sanada are kind of in the same boat. Their matches have been good, but they're not winning them. And Tanahashi barely got the win here. And if you believe that nothing is right with the world, check out the backstage comments and listen to what Juice Robinson has to say about losing to Hiroshi Tanahashi, and you will feel better. It's genuinely touching. So Juice now has 2 wins and 1 loss for 4 points. The ace is finally on the board, 1 win and 2 losses for 2 points. Next, we get to the match that was the most intriguing one for a lot of people. Toru Yano, the king of pro wrestling 2020. Yano being the king of anything in 2020 is oddly appropriate. Yano beat Evil in 4.5 minutes. Excuse me, let me rephrase. Yano beat Evil and Dick Togo in 4 minutes and 30 seconds. So if ever somebody were meant to counter the shenanigans of Evil and Dick Togo, it's Yano. who at this point is undefeated in the G1 Climax tournament at 3 wins and 0 losses. And I'll tell you what, if you find the GIF or the clip on New Japan World or wherever you see it, when Yano punches both of them in the dick, you could hear wrestling Twitter explode into happy cheering. And yea, verily, it was good. So Yano had it. Then we get to the main event of the evening, where double champion Tetsuya Naito defeated Hiroki Goto in right at 22 minutes. Naito is also undefeated at this point, 3 wins and 0 losses for a total of 6. Goto's on the board with 1 win, but has 2 losses for 2 points. This was a better match than I think some people are giving it credit for. Goto is a guy that we've come to consider as a choker that, oh, well, he's not going to win, so don't get invested in it. But this match showed you how good he really is. Goto and Naito have really fun chemistry together. Goto can just brutalize the hell out of Naito's neck, and you kind of wish he wouldn't, but he's going to. And the match itself was really, really good, but if Naito is going to lose to anybody, there's really only a few people that I could see him losing to. Goto was one of those. I thought, it's possible. I don't think it's likely, but it's possible that Goto could beat Naito. That did not happen here, and while I'm not totally shocked, and I'm certainly not upset about it, I am very curious what this is going to mean for Goto moving forward, because he's another one that every year we talk about, okay, he's done, and then he's not. But I want to see him do something, and I'm not even sure what it is. But maybe with Chaos being kind of in flux right now, we'll see something different for Goto, because I would genuinely like to see him have something else. Over to you, sir.
I agree with Goto. I'll start from, I guess since we're right there, I'll start at the main event right here. So normally everybody knows that G1 is, or that G is for Goto, and G1 is for Goto normally, which shout out to Zack Sabre Jr. post-match. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But no, this is a really, really solid match. Naito and Tetsuya Naito and Hiroki Goto have solid chemistry. And to the victor goes the spoils. And then I just love that I can say this at this point. To the many of wrestlers or many of fans that their favorite wrestler has been the champion going into G1 Climax, whether it be your Kazuchika Okada's, your AJ Styles' hell, even your Kenny Omega's. Now, my friend, John and I are in the driver's seat. So to the victor goes the spoils, and to every other wrestler, or to every wrestler, this is their biggest match of the tournament. To Tetsuya Naito, this is another match right here, even with their storied history. So great match. I thought he and Goto, like I said, have great chemistry. Like I said, Goto just brutalizing Tetsuya Naito's neck. He's always the one that goes, he's normally going after necks, but as opposed to going after Naito's knee, he always goes after his neck. So he put him away after a running Destino, then the solid Destino, for a good, solid performance for both guys right here. I thought it was a solid main event. So then we got the penultimate match. Fuck it. I love Toru Yano's G1 Climax matches. His matches are so entertaining to me, to where it's become to a point to where unless he's wrestling Naito, or hell, I even throw SANADA, any LIJ member, unless he's wrestling the LIJ member, I'm automatically like, hey, I want Yano to win this match. It's come to that point now. I'm just like, yeah, I just want him to win. So, and it's nice, like we said, to see Evil and Dick Togo, the spotted, rotten dick, get their comeuppance right here, because they need to get hit in the nuts sometimes. It's okay, because what is good for the goose is good for the gander, and best believe that gander most of the time in the nut shots will be Yano, and he gave y'all just desserts as that. So I was thoroughly enjoying that. Great point with the Hiroshi Tanahashi and Juice Robinson match. Juice Robinson was pretty much just washing in the whole match, and Tanahashi just survived. And not only with Tanahashi winning this match, this G1 story going on, but with the story with he and Juice Robinson, if you think about the matches that they've had in the past, Juice Robinson is getting that much more closer to actually defeating Tanahashi. So the next time they get in the ring with each other, he might be able to pull it off. So I thought that was a really good story that these guys told right here. Tanahashi was not able to put him away with the high fly flow. He had to use a roll up. So shout out to both men for doing that story right there. That was pretty damn solid. And yeah, then we get Kenta, Zack Sabre Jr., two guys who are not strangers to each other. Theme of this match, we got two guys just hitting the shit out of each other with submissions in between. Zach was working over Kenta's arm, but it was not enough at the end. He ended up eating a go to sleep, giving Lil K the victory right here. This is a great paced match. I really love this match. I think this might be Kenta's best match of the tournament so far. Zack Sabre Jr., Kenta, shout out to both guys right here. Fans of both these guys right here. Mwah. Good stuff. That's all I got to say about that. And I can't believe I'm doing this, but man, this is weird for me to say. I'm going to say it all weird. Credit to Yoshihashi. but credit to Yoshihashi right here. He and SANADA did have a really good match. This was a weird one. I didn't know who was going to pull this match out right here because at this point, someone's O had to go, and not in the sense that you immediately think that they would be undefeated. No, these two guys are winless right here. And after Yoshihashi was able to get the victory here in a very solid match. So shout out to both guys. I think I tweeted out, I was like, yes, Sanada's too busy hanging out with Kaji Muto to be worrying about winning matches at this point. So what's he care? Like, it was like, he don't care. Muto and stuff. So he's not worrying about getting victories right here, at least for now. So, and always, you never, ever, ever miss the goddamn Young Lions because they're always putting on solid stuff. And I didn't miss them right here. So I thought Night 6 is pretty solid. I really do. Like I said, I'm just enjoying B Block more, and it's probably because my favorite wrestlers in B Block, and I have no qualms, and I give no apologies for that my favorite wrestlers in B Block just got to eat it. So I'm enjoying B Block just a little bit more. But shout out to Jay White, though.
We should always shout out Jay White.
So that transitions us over back to my block, the A block. Oh, got to deal with this A block, Jay. We're over here in Cork and Hall. We had an attendance of 600. It was attendance of 696 people, so a little bit less than what was in the B block. That just shows you the B block's better, but it's saying right here. Opening match in this show, we have Yota Tsuji defeating Yuya Yamura. So they stopped for one night beating on Gabriel Kidd, even though he was able to get a couple wins in there. They stopped beating on Gabriel Kidd. They give him a breather for the night. And Yota Tsuji and Yuya Yamura is like, hey, we'll just beat each other up. And Yota Tsuji's able to get the victory right here with a Boston Crab, a little under 8 minutes. Like I said, don't skip the Young Lions. These guys provide solid wrestling fundamentals. And I think for somebody who's not even watching these shows on this enjoyment tip, if they are, that's cool too. But maybe for somebody who's looking to get into business, maybe some younger people, these guys are a good foundation, a good base to watch. So watch any Young Lion match you can, especially if you're looking to get into pro wrestling, because I think that stuff's pretty essential. Then we get into G1 Climax action. First match of Block A. I was so worried for my dude in this match right here. I was like, oh my God, he's going to get killed, man. I was like, shit. We got Minoru Suzuki taking on Yujiro Takahashi right here to Tokyo Pimp. And I mean, at least Suzuki made it short. He made it sweet. He didn't make it painless. We know how Suzuki does things. Nothing that Suzuki is going to ever be painless. So he got Yujiro Takahashi down with the Gotch style power driver a little under 8 minutes, but Yujiro provided a fight. Yujiro ain't scared of him. Like he said in his backstage post match, this G1, being in this G1 is like giving him the thrill of his life right now. So even though he's sitting on 0 wins and 4 losses, he's still got a couple matches, and Yujiro at this point is just here to be the spoiler. So we got Minoru Suzuki sitting on 3 wins, 1 loss, with his 1 loss being to his stablemate Taichi. So we'll see how that transpires here in the future. Which brings us to our next G1 Climax action of the night. We have Kota Ibushi taking on Jeff Cobb right here. This match was a little shorter than maybe I expected, but I actually think that added to it. We got Kota Ibushi defeating Jeff Cobb here in about 10 minutes, 43 seconds. He puts him away with the Kamigoye. I thought this was actually really solid. I don't know why I say actually really solid, because like these guys would be horrible together. I don't know why I said it like that. That was kind of misleading for me to say it like that. So I deeply apologize right here for putting it like that, because that's not how it was. This match was actually really damn solid. So Kota Ibushi was actually able to get the victory over Jeff Cobb right here. Like I said, 10 minutes, 43 seconds, put him away. Kamigoye, he ate that knee to the face. It is what it is. That's just going to happen if you're going to wrestle Kota Ibushi. So the next match I was very excited about coming up in the G1 Climax. We had Kazuchika Okada. He was taking on Holy Emperor himself, a guy who was sitting on an undefeated record in the G1. God has had who's not getting enough, I guess, claim or praise that Yoshihashi's getting heaped up on him for some reason, odd enough. I guess it's because he's Taichi and it's bullshit, but Taichi's just having it. He's having just as good as the G1 as Yoshihashi, if not better. This is depending on what your cup of tea is, but he took on Kazuchika Okada right here, a guy who I thought they were matched up in the same block. This is a guy I was circling for maybe to pull the upset over Kazuchika Okada, which when the ending result happened in this match, it disappointed me, but it didn't disappoint me because, yeah, I wanted Taichi to win this match right here. He didn't. Tapped out's not really a good word for it. I think because he didn't tap out at all. There was a referee stoppage here with this match. It was the money clip 17 minutes, 3 seconds in. And Taichi not tapping is very telling. He could have tapped out a couple of times to this hold, but he passed out. So Taichi at this point can almost say, dude, I didn't submit. I haven't been pinned in this G1 yet. I think that's what Taichi's going to start saying because he has a claim to that legitimately. In a match that I was looking forward to, and I was kind of actually afraid about this match because I figured how this match was going to go because how the build up and the lead to this match, I just felt so one-sided. It just felt like when these guys are in a rap booth, Jay White's just tearing this dude up. And this is Will Ospreay taking on Jay White coming into this match. Ospreay had a record of 2 wins, 1 loss. Jay White, of course, was undefeated. He was his immaculate Mr. Perfect self, let his hair hang and all that good stuff because that's what Jay White do because, King Switch, baby. But, no, man, I was a little bit miffed. I was a little perturbed because 18 minutes and 46 seconds in, we get old Billy Boy, old Bird Brain, putting King Switch away with the Stormbreaker. This was really, really fucking good, though. And I'll say this. I know a lot of people are hit and miss on Jay White. If you're not sold on Jay White as a top 5 wrestler in the world right now, I don't know what G1 you've been watching. His in-ring has damn near been good. But, man, the gimmick is just coming with the ring stuff. And this match got me maybe on the flip side. I want to see a Jay White babyface run. I need to see that now, and I'm interested how that would go. But in the meantime, between time, we got him dropping his first match in the G1 Climax to Bird Brain, Will Ospreay. Great fucking match. And honestly, Ospreay needed to just come up into the storyline because it's pretty much been one-sided. He's been just getting washed by Jay White. So it is what it is. He can finally get a victory over my man's right here. But it was just a fleeting G1 victory. Don't get too ahead of yourself, little boy. But then in the main event, Jay, we have Tomohiro Ishii picking up his first victory right here, the G1 Climax, taking on Shingo Takagi right here. 26 minutes, 1 second. He beat him with the vertical drop brain buster. And I was a little surprised that Shingo won, but then I wasn't surprised when I remembered what record Ishii was sitting on. I was like, oh, he's so due for a win right here. He's so due. And he delivered with the win. And not only did he deliver, both these guys delivered with this match because this match was great from bell to bell. This is 26 minutes of intense physicality right here. Like I said, these guys went after each other from bell to bell. This was a banger right here. So this is a solid show. I think if you want to go back and forth between which match you thought was better between the main event or the semi-main, that's neither here nor there. I think this show, you can arguably say that it peaked with Jay White's performance, in my opinion. But that's just me. If you like the main event, I love the main event. But if you like that more than the semi-main, that's on you. So, Jay, what did you think about this show right here that we had on G1 Climax Block A Action?
Well, there was a lot of good stuff here. There was a lot of stuff to like. As far as the main event is concerned, I could watch, Shingo and Ishii clobber the hell out of each other for days. And while I would not go so far as to say that this is, the best match they've had together, I don't think it is, but it was still really, really good. And man, just Ishii headbutting people. I know we're not supposed to like those anymore. Thanks, Shibata. But when Ishii just kind of jumps up and headbutts somebody in the throat, or when they're down on the mat and he'll just kind of launch himself forward and headbutt his opponent like right in the face. I still, I still kind of just react to that like it's really really cool, even though I now have that other side that says no, stop doing that. But when it's Ishii and Shingo, you know you're going to get at least a little bit of that. I was sorry that Shingo didn't win, but at the same time, there's no way that Ishii was going to continue to be winless after the start that he had. So, him getting on the table at Shingo's expense is something I can live with. A little bit less so is, Ospreay beating Jay White. I mean, I kind of thought it was going to happen because after Ospreay lost to Shingo, I thought, okay, looking at his next couple of matches, he's probably going to beat Jay, even though I really, really don't want him to. It's okay. Jay's going to get it back, and everything will be fine. I'm curious how it's going to happen because you said you were interested in seeing a Jay White babyface run with, all of the King Switch stuff being what it is. I don't know, and several people have said this. This is not just me. I have heard this from several people whose opinions on the matter I respect. Yeah, they're not sure if Ospreay is legitimately supposed to be a heel or if he's just being a dick. And the fact that we can't tell is honestly kind of annoying, because even if you're a big fan of the wrestling part, his character stuff is all over the place. And I think, and I'm not going to go off on too much of a tangent of it, but Ospreay really doesn't understand how to be a heel. He thinks being an asshole is enough, and it isn't. And that's why something just kind of feels like it's missing. But if he is genuinely supposed to be eventually this heel character, then I have wondered about Jay White evolving into a face. How is that going to work? I mean, you and I like Jay White, so we would be okay with it, but just how do you make that happen? He's got to be one of the 3 most hated men in all of wrestling right now. How do you get from here to here? Yeah, I know you can do it. It'll be neat, but I'm just very curious how we get there. Okada and Taichi, I had thought Okada was probably going to win this. I was hoping he wouldn't, but this ties into what I said about Okada's last match. Taichi's the one who came out of this match looking good. Okada was really just kind of there. And I'm putting Okada's money clip on the same level as Yoshihashi's butterfly lock. I don't know what it is with these guys in Chaos having a really lousy looking submission as a finisher. Yet neither one of them are good at it. And wins and losses aside, it just felt like Taichi was owning that match. And then that's the important point. He did not tap out. He passed out. That was ref stoppage. And so that's definitely a bragging point for Taichi. But I'm personally irritated by the fact that this really crappy looking submission hold that Okada insists on using for just ridiculously long periods of time is apparently being set up as, the submission hold that ends a match with ref stoppage, because this isn't the first time it's happened. And if you're gonna have a really vicious submission finisher, like why is Okada's money clip resulting in ref stoppages when you have Minoru Suzuki on your roster? No, that's not snark. Like, why isn't Minoru Suzuki just choking bitches out left and right if that's supposed to be a thing? Yeah, we would all believe that. But the most devastating submission hold that repeatedly results in ref stoppages in New Japan is Okada's money clip. Okay, I'm not feeling that. I'm not really feeling that at all. I was feeling Ibushi and Cobb. That was very enjoyable. Like you say, it was shorter than I thought, but I just really liked, the, clash of styles that they brought. And Kota Ibushi's home planet must be a fascinating place, because the one thing anybody was talking about out of his backstage comments was the fact that he thinks his teeth are falling out, but he doesn't care because winning the G1 is more important than his teeth. But it was like this little kid. He's pulling his mouth open to show you that his teeth are loose. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, Kota, why are you? And Suzuki versus Yujiro, okay, yeah, it was kind of a squash, but the first part of it kind of wasn't. And I mean, Yujiro was bringing it like Suzuki stole a truck and crashed the brothel and didn't pay. Yeah, it was that kind of thing. And it may not have been a long match. It may not have been, a very back and forth match, but Yujiro had some good moments here. And again, yeah, I know pretty much everybody's crapping all over Yujiro even being here, but he has his moments, and his stuff with pretty much everybody not named Kazuchika Okada has been good. And then Tsuji defeating Uyemura, again, those two are the ones that have the potential for the career-long rivalry. They had fought each other to time limit draws over and over again. If one of them got a victory, the other one would get a victory the next night. Like all last year, they were the ones that were just even for almost the entire year. So I don't ever really get tired of them. But speaking of Young Lions stuff, this will take us to the last of our 4 nights of this G1 Overload episode, night 8, which was October the 1st, B block, out in Niigata. Now we're getting attendance a little bit up. We had 1,685 people at that. Again, they're spread out, but it just feels so much more like a typical New Japan audience in terms of the number of people there. We open with a Young Lions singles match between Yota Tsuji and Gabriel Kidd, and guess what? We get our first time limit draw of the G1. They go the full 15 minutes. They have a time limit draw. So, pardon me. So if you look at the Young Lions record, Kidd has beaten Tsuji once. He's lost to Tsuji once. And now they have a draw. Tsuji has beaten Kidd once, lost to him once in draw, and then Tsuji's beaten Uyemura twice. And so this whole record of these 3 particular Young Lions is gonna matter. Kidd was even, tearing into Tsuji in the back. It's like, 2-1 and so we're definitely going to be hearing more about this as we go. So the first time limit draw in the G1 2020 is actually a Young Lion match. That was fun. Something else that was so much fun was the second match of the night, where Juice Robinson defeated Toru Yano in under 7 minutes with a roll-up. Yano's undefeated streak in the G1 has come crashing to a halt at the hands of one Juice Robinson. And this match was less than 7 minutes. This was so great because Juice Robinson is the kind of wrestler that can match Yano for just utter ridiculousness. He can absolutely bring what Yano brings. Because when Yano's fighting a Tanahashi or a SANADA or somebody like that, these are cool guys. These are guys with reputations of a certain type, and yeah, Juice is trying to get that. He's working that way, but Juice Robinson is not afraid to be absolutely silly, and that totally worked here. So Juice is now at 3 wins and 1 loss with 6 points. Yano is now at 3 wins and 1 loss with 6 points. So the King of Pro Wrestling 2020 has had his first taste of defeat. Another person tasting defeat, again, unfortunately, is Hiroki Goto. Zack Sabre Jr. absolutely destroyed Hiroki Goto in 4 minutes. He pins him with a European clutch, but we have to acknowledge the fact that Goto has a shoulder injury and he's coming out with more tape almost every show. And of course, Zack is going to go for that. And so you can't really be surprised that somebody that's got such a big target is going to fall to somebody like Zack Sabre Jr. So, talk about a squash. I like Goto a lot, but I'm not at all surprised at this. So Zack is now at 2 wins, 2 losses for 4 points. Goto is 1 win and 3 losses for 2 points. So blink and you miss it, but if you want to see just mean, vicious Zack Sabre Jr., you get a little bit less than 4 minutes of it right here. Next match, we had Hiroshi Tanahashi defeating Yoshihashi in a little bit under 19 minutes. Tanahashi actually had to bust out the high fly flow for this one. So if you were ever on the fence about Yoshihashi's people, apparently so, even though he lost here, because again, and I can't believe I'm saying these words in this order, Yoshihashi basically beat the shit out of Tanahashi for about 15 of those 18 minutes, and Tanahashi won the match, but it was not an easy thing at all. So the ace is now at 2 wins, 2 losses with 4 points. Yoshihashi has 1 win and 3 losses for 2 points, but he came out of this match looking like somebody, which is more than could normally be said for Yoshihashi. Next match, we had what a lot of people were really curious about, and that was Kenta versus Evil. So you had essentially the 2 most recent recruits to Bullet Club, and there was a lot of question as to how this was going to go. The answer to that question is poorly. Yeah. Kenta goes, Kenta's trying to do the too sweet, Evil too sweets Dick Togo. He refuses the too sweet Kenta. So, yeah, there was some tension going on there. And Evil basically wins this match with the help of Dick Togo. And the idea that Evil can't do anything without Dick Togo basically winning his matches for him continues to be in play. However, as badly as I wanted Kenta to win this match, the fact that we get to see Kenta smash Dick Togo in the head with the briefcase for the US title shot kind of made it all right. Because Kenta was almost in the same place as Zack Sabre Jr., where you have this despicable person who is becoming babyface by default because of who he's going up against. And so I'm curious to see where all of this is going. There's going to be some kind of Bullet Club power struggle. That was not a pun on Power Struggle, the event, but hey, here we are. And in his backstage comments, Evil actually refused to comment on Kenta. He said no comment. So it's going to be interesting to see where this actually goes. This match did result in one of my favorite tweets that I've seen in a while. Tama Tonga is keeping a very close eye on all of this, and following this match, Tama Tonga tweeted out, "Do I have to come back to Japan to make these ho muffins act right?" I'm like, yes, you do. So if I get fired from my job for calling somebody else's child a ho muffin, it's because Tama Tonga inspired me. So that is a thing that is happening. Last of all, we have the main event as far as you and I and a lot of LIJ fans were concerned, and that was Tetsuya Naito versus SANADA. And oh boy, this was everything we wanted. And I know I don't speak for other people, but I really don't think there's any other way to put it. SANADA beat Naito in 27 minutes. Having main event G1 matches that go almost to a time limit draw seems to be SANADA's thing now. But, 27 minutes of SANADA and Naito just knowing each other so well. What SANADA did to Naito's neck should qualify as a hate crime.
Mm-hmm.
And I love both of them. But, oh, sweetie, that was not cool. But they knew each other so well, and they could counter pretty much everything that each other did. I know people give him a lot of grief for insisting on trying to win with the moonsault, but there is a reason for that, and he actually pulled it off here. And I don't know about you, but I had kind of thought SANADA was going to beat Naito anyway. When SANADA lost to Yoshihashi, I was convinced he was going to win here, and he did. So this match was amazing. I loved it, even though I hated parts of it. And post-match, you got the LIJ fist bump, and all was right with the world again. So I think I can say I got everything I wanted out of this match, even if my main man did lose. It was okay.
No, facts. And my thoughts on the show, starting with the main event itself. I thought the main event was really damn good, actually. And this is going to sound crazy, and I don't mean this in a bad way possible. I definitely don't mean this in a bad way. But you could almost argue, and I don't necessarily think this. It could either be this or the Goto match. It's either which one you prefer. You can argue Naito's having such a good a G1 right now that this is arguably his worst match, and this was still a fucking banger. That's how good of a G1 Naito's having right now. And then on that same side of that different side of the same coin, excuse me. I actually think this is SANADA's best match, and it wasn't even close. Like it was like, wow, this is SANADA's best match, and this might be Naito's worst match of G1. And that's not saying that this was a bad match. That's just saying Naito's just having a damn good G1. SANADA's having a decent G1 as far as match quality himself, but this is by far ahead his best match in my opinion. There was like we got the LIJ post match, and there was some stuff that was said post match on the New Japan World, and Naito said that. I kind of a couple things he said, I was like, okay, and you kind of like, So he was like, hey, that was the SANADA. He's like, that was what everybody expected, right? And he was like, that's SANADA I thought I would see. And he was like, I won't go on, the G1 undefeated. He's like, so I'll just have to restart G1, anew. And he's talking to Yoshihashi. He's a good opponent to restart G1. He really didn't shit on Yoshihashi actually too much. He actually kind of gave Yoshihashi some praise, which is kind of interesting. And then he says, but yeah, I'll rebound from this, but this is disappointing. Then he just says adios. And normally Naito wouldn't have said anything like that. He'd have been like, oh, well, SANADA, he got the victory. It's just on to the next one. But the fact that he was just like, yeah, this is pretty disappointing. And like, it was low key that this is the third match in the G1 or like the fourth match in the G1. And the fact that he was saying it was already disappointing, I kind of like, that was like something that was, if it was in a book, you would definitely use like a marker highlighter on it. It's like, okay, that's interesting that you say that this early into the tournament. So kind of kept my eye on that. The Evil and the Evil versus Kenta match right here. Like I said, this was a match I had circled on my G1 calendar when it came up because I was, like everybody else, was interested to see how it was going to play out. And the fact that, Jay, when you said that he didn't too sweet Kenta, but went to too sweet Dick Togo, what the fact that he did it? It was the fact that he played him like he was going to, and then it was like, nope. And it was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like we're doing that right here. So yeah, Kenta was in that position that Zack Sabre Jr. was in, where these guys are dastardly guys, but they have to pretty much play the baby face. So thought that was an interesting position for Kenta, and him smacking Dick Togo on the head with that briefcase. Bravo, love that. And also Kenta post match, glorious. He said, "Man, I lost because of you." He just kept saying, "I lost." He just kept saying that, and he didn't even really say who you was. And I don't really think he was necessarily talking about Dick Togo. But and I also loved in this match too, where he like went outside the ring early in the match and like whispered something in Dick Togo's ear, and like Dick Togo's like, "What?" Like he's just like kind of like what's going on right here. So I thought that was cool. This match is pretty much what I thought it was. I wish Kenta would have got the victory, but Evil probably needed to get the victory, seeing how where things are going to go with this Bullet Club. Because, like you said, the whole no comment was really interesting. This is I kind of felt Evil would be one of those guys. So when he did join Bullet Club, it wouldn't be all about solidarity because essentially the only people he teams up with in Bullet Club are Dick Togo and sometimes Taiji Ishimori. So he's barely teaming up with like any of the other members. So it's just like, yeah. And he and Jay White have yet to cross paths, and it's going to be really interesting because both of these guys are kind of behind each other since they're on different blocks. So when they're traveling to another town, the other one's traveling to another town, so on and so forth. So Jay White's going to catch up to that dude sooner or later. We're gonna see what's going to happen right here. And like you said, another case of Tanahashi getting a shit beat out of him 101 right here. Yoshihashi dominated this match. Like he literally beat the shit out of Tanahashi. And at one point, I'm like, dude, this would be a huge win for Yoshihashi at this point in his career, beating a guy like Hiroshi Tanahashi. But all was for naught. He ate the high cross body. He ate the high fly flow. I was definitely glad he lost this match. And Tanahashi need to get on some kind of a streak. So it is what it is with that. Zack Sabre Jr. and Hiroki Goto, it was very short, and I hope this was a storyline thing because I'm hoping Hiroki Goto was not injured, to be 100% honest, because his shoulder is just taped up all the hell. His shoulder from his neck is just super taped up, and I just hope he is not injured. I hope this is the reasoning for this match is pretty much just to kind of give him a light night, and he's not really seriously hurt. But for what we got, I thought it was okay. They told the solid story for the time they had, but they definitely have had better matches in the past. Yeah, let's hope Hiroki Goto was not too seriously hurt right here. So once again, I wish Juice Robinson would have lost to Toru Yano right here, but he's able to defeat Yano. I think it's the first time he beat him. So good on Juice Robinson. It was a solid comedy match. I thought this match was pretty damn funny. The fact that he had on the whole YouTube shirt and all that good stuff, and he's just like trying to hit him in the nuts, not trying to hit him. I enjoyed this. This is a breath of fresh air. Juice Robinson getting a win here over Toru Yano. I wanted Toru Yano to win, but hey, we can't have Yano on 8 points at this point in time. That's a little crazy. You can't do that, man. I'm like, what? And then once again, the time limit draw. Time limit draw was excellent. I was like, oh, okay, so this is the kind of show this is how we're starting to show off. I'm like, nice way to start the show. Gabriel Kidd, Yota Tsuji. Man, damn good match, guys. You need to give yourselves a pat on the back because that time limit draw was pretty fucking good. So, no, we broke these 4 shows down pretty swiftly, pretty justly, and pretty thoroughly, I think, even though we kind of was a little short with it. So, shit, that's all 4 of the shows, and we don't got no more action until Sunday, Jay. So,
yeah, we've got shows on October 5th in Kagawa. We've got the 6th and 7th in Hiroshima, and then Okayama on October 8th. And then they'll have a day off and be back in Osaka after that, but we should be able to follow along with the A block show, B block show format that we had going on prior to this, and we will definitely be back to keep everybody abreast of what is going on with the G1 Climax 30.
I don't know why I said Sunday. I meant Monday because Monday is the 5th. So I was just a day off. It is what it is. But till then, guys, we'll be back at y'all with more G1 Climax action. It was nice to go ahead and power through this with my illustrious tag team partner because we are the almighty SOS Wrestling Network. Make sure you subscribe to this thing right here. You know what we do. So follow us on Twitter, all that good stuff. Check our tweets and all that good shit, man. So yeah, just come along with this ride on us with this G1 Climax, baby, because we just rolling. So Jay, is there anything you want to say before we close it up?
I really am not feeling the G1 fatigue that we have experienced in the past, and I think that's partly because we have such short shows. And as much as I've enjoyed the tag previews, I think there's possibly something to this as far as not having them. So if you haven't seen some of this and you're not sure you've got the time, you know, pick out a couple of matches and check them out. You're not going to be disappointed.
Exactly. I agree with you 100%. It's these shorter shows have lessened my fatigue. So that's one plus we can take out of this whole situation is that hey, our resolve is still strong and we still got much energy. So we'll be here to bring that energy for y'all guys. And yeah, like I said, Monday is when the next show is. Be here to check us out because we'll be back on schedule. So until then, y'all, we'll holler at you. Even though Naito took his first loss, y'all know what to do still. Y'all know what the drill is still. Put that in kilo.